so many of you. Why are you here, in my sad and lonely hallway? Weren't you told not to go near the castle? Didn't they tell you I've been driven mad by the fantastical truth I wish with all my bitter heart I'd never discovered? You see, I am a scientist, and in my arrogance, I decided to look into looking, listen into hearing, taste, smell, and touch. And I found, to my horror, that my senses lied to me all the time. If I can't trust my own eyes, then what can I trust? The only logical conclusion I can draw is that the solid ground of reality is a lie, an illusion. It is shifting under my feet, and all I can do is scream as I fall into the abyss of uncertainty. Am I a brain floating in a vat in another scientist's laboratory? A butterfly dreaming it is human? A hologram floating at the edge of a two-dimensional universe? Once, I dreamed of eating an olive. The taste was clear and sharp, and in the dream I said to myself, this experience is so vivid, I must be awake. But then I woke up and knew for sure that my own mind can fool me utterly. I was a scientist. This was my core, my identity for so long. But how can I continue in my work, knowing that my discoveries are built on a foundation of utter unknowing? I have left my last experiments to gather dust in these chambers. Find them if you must, and see for yourself. Watch as the details of reality shift and change. Ponder the implications and curse me as you uncover the fantastical truth for yourself, that you know nothing except that a mind exists. Everything else is guesswork, assumption, and whistling in the howling wind of the void.
Maud, 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 Maud.
On a completely still and cloudless day, I received a call from someone insisting that his mistress had damaged her mind and would I come immediately and dress for dinner. The line was bad, he said, because of thunder and lightning. And I tried to explain that I don't do house calls, and if I did, I wouldn't travel very far. And he said three really interesting things. One, I was only 0.8 miles away from him, according to Google Maps. Two, he would pay me handsomely in gold, as much as I could pocket before my trousers fell down. And three, if I could cure her, he would make me a mind-reading ocelot that would fiddle my tax return. When I arrived, I was let in by what appeared to be several people sewn together. They led me to the lopsided creature that had called me, who introduced me to the mistress of the house, the mysterious and, according to him, dangerously insane Maud. He presented me as a fellow scientist interested in her sensory research, and she agreed to show me her most revealing experiments. Igor warned me that they were just one childish trick after another, but when I asked her what was so important about these illusions, she looked at me with true fear in her eyes. She urged me to spend time with each one, and as I went from room to room, I began to see both her point and her fear. My mind could trick me. It would add things or take them away, substitute one sense for another, creating a reality that it wanted to perceive. My mind was making stuff up, creating my experience entirely, and it was doing it all the damn time. Maud was not mad. She was right. She'd uncovered the fantastical truth that there is no fixed reality, no right or only way to experience the world around us. Her experiments, simple though they were, demonstrated to me that sensory information has no intrinsic value, since whatever enters through the doors of my senses is immediately transformed into a dance, a negotiation of reality that my brain can understand. At first, I plunged. The realization that I create every aspect of my experience made me fear that I might be the only thing that was real, a being separate from my invented experience. Having trained to be curious about the mind, I tried to find that being, searched to find what it was that was doing all of this experiencing, and I couldn't. All I found was more of the same, the experience of experiencing, no me anywhere. And then I was laughing. Up until that point, I'd felt lost, like a tiny, delicate sphere of water in a world made of dust. And the very instant that I realized that I was the self-same thing as that which I had felt separate from, that bubble popped and I soaked into everything. I wasn't separate from the universe. I was the universe. And so are you. Igor hates it when I think like this. He says that it makes my brain smell like a werewolf fart and that it makes me 1 inch less insane than his mistress. Poor Maud. Psychosis would be a relief for her, actually. She says she feels utterly alone. A single mind floating in a vast, cold and empty desert. I've tried talking to her about it, but she seems more and more closed, locked in her fears. She's retreated from people, from herself, and from her experiments. Her most recent project, the resurrection of Juliet Capulet, has been abandoned mid-process, and I'm worried that that heartbroken young woman will spend eternity looping the last tragic days of her life. I disagree with Igor's assessment of his mistress, but I do think he's right about one thing. He is determined to complete this resurrection in the desperate hope that its success will bring life not just to Juliet, but to Maud herself. I'll help. Partly because I want to see what a 700-year-old teenager posts on Snapchat, but mostly because I really need that ocelot.
Everything stops for
Will I not be distraught? Frightened with all these hideous fears.
Maud's log entry 4588. I thought my eyes were like windows to the world, that there was a fixed reality out there that was constant and laid out for my eyes to receive. But this is not so, it seems. I looked at a hollow mask turning in space, and to my utter astonishment, my mind seems to flip the image as soon as the features on the hollow side come into view. The direction of rotation also seems to change, although it most certainly does not. I know this mask is hollow. I have even put it on my own face, and yet my mind refuses to see it. Every face I have ever seen is convex. Maybe this is why my mind refuses to see this mask as concave. If this is the reason, if my prior knowledge can override the apparently obvious and do it so well that I am so completely deluded, then what else is being altered without my knowledge? Every sense I look at shows the world sliding and transforming constantly. What can I trust? What can I put my faith in? I can't go on with my work. Everything has taken on the flat dullness of futility. Last summer, before I lost my way, I was travelling with my aunt, touring the tombs and sepulchres of Europe. Dear auntie does so love the sense of death and decay. I had recently invented an echoes of consciousness magnification device and was listening to the sighs and whispers of the dead in the graveyards of Verona when I came across a ghost so tortured by rage and grief at her untimely and senseless death that I felt compelled to bring her here to restore the life so cruelly ended. But now, this project has turned to ashes in my mouth, and I no longer have the stomach for it. Juliet wanders these halls, but is she really here? How can I tell? I'm like a ghost myself these days, and may as well haunt this dismal place with her until I waste away to nothing.
Farewell, God knows when we shall meet again. I have the faint cold fear thrills through my veins. Alas, what should she do here? Come fire. What storm is this that blows so contrarily? My only love sprung from my only hate. I have an ill-divided soul. What's here a cup closed in my true love's hand? Poison I see have been his timeless end. Oh God, oh God, oh God, what if this mixture do not work at all? Shall I be married? No, forbid. Lady there, lady there, lady there.
Maud's log entry 4532. I have always clung so tightly to the world, and it seemed to grip me just as hard in return. Now I have looked more closely at touching, and I have found that I don't even know where my body ends and the rest of infinity begins. Igor created this device at my request. It requires that the subject sit at the table and allow themselves to be touched by an assistant. All the household seem fascinated by this particular contraption. If the uncertainty spreads to my experience of my own flesh and blood, how can I know if even that exists? Am I a ghost? A metaphor for existence? A shadow puppet dancing on the wall of a cave?
I'll be as quick as I can. Okay. Now, I just want you to relax. Just keep your eyes on your hands, and I'm just going to rearrange your fingers a little. Just get them. Yeah. Nice. I'm sorry. I'm touching you as delicately as I can. I did used to have two little brushes that I would do this, but they weren't as nice. This feels much nicer. There we are. And you have fantastic nail beds. Look at this. This is tremendous. This is how you find out if someone is, after an accident, if they have blood flow. With first aid. You press on their fingernails and see how that goes. And it's just, you have fantastic, very nice knuckles. Does that feel normal? In there? And it's amazing what your brain does. Your brain will really quickly just let this become very definitely a part of you. And if I lift those fingers right there, that feels just like kind of a normal thing. That's very nice. Yes. Nice and soft. And there. Uh-oh. That's weird, isn't it?
Look at this. You think they're different sizes, don't you? Well, they're not. They're exactly the same. See? 3.472. 3.472. Again. 3.472. 3.472. Maud asked me to draw it, and yes, I agree that it's fun. But I don't understand why she thinks it's so important. She says it changes everything. That if you can't believe what's in front of you, then everything is in doubt. I just can't see her point. I wish she'd go back to proper mad scientist stuff like creating an octopus with the head of a vole, or generating electricity by rubbing two cats together. We're specialized in bringing ghastly creatures to life. New ones every week, rampaging and running amok. Now that's what I call science. But all that's in the past. The villagers haven't had a reason to storm the castle in months. It's killing me. I love her, but she's gone completely mad. And that's a fact that makes me very sad. Her brilliant mind is full of light, but her thoughts, they keep her up at night. I know because I listen through the wall. I shouldn't, but she has me in her thrall. She's obsessed with her latest experiments, but if you want my 2 cents, they're tricks and silliness. Entertaining, yes, but devoid of any profound implication. She insists she's found that life is just a dream, just a dream. That nothing's real and things just simply aren't what they seem. Her brilliant mind is full of doubt, so she's given up trying to work things out. It breaks my heart to see her so depressed. All that joy and searching's been repressed. Oh, I wish she would go back to the way things were, with cogs and bones and melty things with fur. I knew who I was and I liked it that way. Now my life is sold and no sharks to fill the day. Oh, how I long for the old days when we watched how the toads played inside their vivarium, and then we gently killed them. Now she says she's had enough and she won't let me burn stuff. I must take the tentacles out the fridge, and I can't blow up the vicarage. Why she can't accept what's in front of her perfect nose and finish putting ears on the palm with the 15 toes. I ask her why she can't, and she just weeps. Go away. Go away. Go away. Go away.
Is Romeo slaughtered? And Tybalt dead? My dear loved cousin and my dear lord. The dreadful trumpets sound the general doom. For who is living if those two are dead?
Black ladies.
Maud's log entry 4352. I have begun to investigate the senses of smell and taste, and they seem to be so closely linked that it is hard to separate the two. But then I looked closer and found that it is even more bewildering than that. I tested myself with blindfolds and darkness, light and sound, and became more and more confused. The colour of my plate, the music drifting from Igor's room, the sight of the dead fly on the tabletop, all these things changed what I tasted, shifting the sweetness from subtle to more intense and back again. My desire for food seems as much linked to my eyes as to my tongue. I filled the drawers of this dresser with objects and added an unrelated scent, and Igor could not even begin to tell what the smell was. Can we separate the senses at all? Are the divisions we make between them a false and assumptive construct? And twining through all are thoughts and memories, feelings and moods. It all seems to be one mass of experience with no separation. What is going on? How can I bear this morass of ambiguity?
Sometimes, after hard days pushing the trolley, north-northeast, south-southwest, and sometimes into the bowels, I'll sit down for a mo. If it's quiet, no mice scurrying in the wainscots, no whistling wind keening in the eaves, I'll close my eyes. A chance to see who me is, what lives inside, how I know my exist. You can do it. Be calm. Control your breaths. I am afloat, somewhat aware, but yes, afloat, as if the brain is in an aquarium where the metal frames dissolve and water fills all the space. The hiss of water filling your nose and throat. That then is my deepest sense of who I am, a floating aware. I am a brain precariously perched, an aquarium with no glass or frame. My skull is a cave to harbour thoughts that clang emptily like the old bells of a mountain monastery. Who are you, puppet? Do you know the story about the cave? It's about the size of this room. No, it's exactly the size of this room. And there are two people sitting exactly where you are, but they're looking at the wall. Go on. Look at it. Keep looking at it. Someone is shining a light, and their shadows move, a little to the right, a little to the left, gently, teasingly, gracefully. You are shadow puppets. Shadow puppet. Shadow puppet. Maud gave me life, even though I don't know what a life is. She wanted to give it to Juliet too, the famous Capulet, lover of Romeo. She stalks this place too, full of grief, plaintive. Romeo, Romeo, where art? My life started abrupt. Now most things end abrupt, not start abrupt. But I struggle with the word life, started abrupt. And Maud gave me words. I remembered some and mangled some. Archbishop, miscreant, nincompoop. But the words are there, and they have range and compass, and I can map out this place, this world. The little silver bells ringing in the bowels, summoning Darjeeling. Or up to the dovecot, where the pigeons make such a smell. Or the room that no one dares go in. I am grateful to her, you know, for bringing me to be. My hands are heavy from all that pushing, all that hot water, crockery, the 18 blends of tea, from powerful Ceylon to tiny green leaves picked high in Hindu Kush. This place gets cold in winter. It's a drafty pile. All those drafts. You can feel them on the sensitive parts, the nape of the neck, the palm. And I make them. With my heavy breath, I can start a gale, or produce draughts so strong that they would gale and tempest through this ancient pile, and settle the foundations, scare the mice so much that they will shake, and banish all shadows as if they never were. Puppets, shadows, dispelled. You can go now.
Maud's log entry 4609. I wanted to explore listening, and so I made this film of Igor, and I thought that at least this would be simple, but no.
Bat, bat, bat. Bat, bat, bat. Bat, bat, bat.
I separated the sound from the visual image, keeping the sound the same. The sound recording does not change in any way. I made several different visual recordings of Igor, saying different words, and these change, but the sound recording does not. When I looked and listened at the same time, something terrifying occurred. There must be some interplay between my eye and my ear, because if Igor's face changes, then immediately I hear something different. So what is hearing? Is it my ear, my eye, or my brain? How can this be? What does it mean? Where is the sound I hear made? I thought sounds just entered my ear, like guests entering a house. But it seems that is not the case. If I close my eyes, the word stays the same, but as soon as I open them, it changes again. I am filled with fear at what I am discovering. Is it all in my mind? Is everything invented within the confines of my skull? Am I utterly alone?
Bat, bat, bat. Bat, bat, bat. Bat, bat, bat. Bat, bat. 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 Move my chair. Very naughty. Mistress, I have been trying to complete the resurrection project, but I can't work out the final equation. Please, mistress, the poor girl is suffering so. But she might. But she might. But she might.
Is there no pity sitting in the clouds that sees into the bottom of my grief?
Please, mistress, I understand we cannot know what's real, but maybe we can pretend we do.
Madam, I am here. Thou hast comforted me marvellous much.
I still don't know Fantastical is the most apt word to describe the hypothesis you've heard. We hope we've sown a seed of doubt and given you a nudge to throw some shades of light.
Fuck off.
Words like brilliant, fantastic, entertaining, different. It was just great. So many different aspects, things happening. You don't know what's happening. Is it behind you, in front of you? Great singing, just great cast. Marvellous.
Everything, I think, in equal measure, from cool to strange to funny to scary to, I think, a few words that maybe haven't been invented yet, or at least I don't know. All sorts of emotions to digest now.
I liked it because, I'm still digesting it, but there was a lot in there. I'm going to have to take some time going through it. But yes, that was really quite special. That was something else.
I guess on the one hand, there's a fear that you might miss something, and so you're trying to look around every corner, but there's also that really special thing of maybe finding something that no one else has, or you're the first one to see, so that's very special.
I just thought it was most extraordinary performance from all of them. The setting, what they have done in dressing the house and each of the different rooms with all the different things in it, and to be able to follow the music and see different things happening in different places, I just thought was absolutely extraordinary. And everyone, I thought, put on a most amazing performance. It's just extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. Loved it, absolutely loved it.